Richard Lewis, or to give him his more well-known name of Dic Penderyn, was a coal miner who lived in Merthyr during the early 1800s. He was born in Aberavon, but he and his family had moved to Merthyr in 1819 to find more work. People flocked to Merthyr at this time, as it was seen as a hub for employment, with famous ironworks such as Cyfarthfa and Penderyn attracting many people to the area for work. However, in 1831, with a gradually declining coal industry and unrest among the working class, miners took to the streets in protest against the unemployment and the lowering of workers' wages. The rebels used a red flag of revolution, with many believing this was the first instance of it being used as a symbol of workers' revolt. Many years later, we would see the use of a red flag for communist and socialist parties. On June 1, 1831, protesters marched to the local mines within the borough, persuading the miners on shift to stop their work and join them. The number of protesters grew to anything from 7,000 to 10,000, depending on which source you believe, with the British government being forced to send members of the 93rd Highland Regiment from the Brecon Barracks to attempt to restore order. On June 2nd, a meeting was held by the High Sheriff of Glamorgan at the Castle Inn with local employers, discussing what could be done to stop the rioting. Lucien i'r Heliwr, or to give him his Anglican name of Lewis Lewis, marched there, demanding a reduction in the price of bread and to increase workers' wages. This request was flat out rejected and the workers were ordered to return to their homes. Castle Inn was then attacked by the rioters, causing the men from the 93rd Highland Regiment to engage them. There were some injuries and fatalities on both sides. Rioters had managed to steal some of the regiment's weaponry, and after struggling to quell the push forward by the rioters, the Highlanders were forced to withdraw to Penderyn House, thus abandoning the town to the angry mob. This siege had lasted until June 7th, with Penderyn House being the only safe haven of refuge of authority figures within the town. The town was out of control, with the rioters placing roadblocks, arming themselves with any form of weaponry, and holding banners dyed in blood. They ambushed the 93rd baggage train on Brecon Road, which was under escort from the Glamorgan Yeomanry, a regiment that was originally raised over concern from a possible French invasion during the late 18th century. They also halted a relief force of 100 cavalry that was sent to aid the authorities under siege of Penderyn House. On Sunday, June 6th, the rioters had arranged a mass meeting. The government representative used this as an opportunity to split from Penderyn House, reform and then march on the mass meeting being held in Dowlais with over 400 troops. This marked the end of the rebellion, and the next day, June 7th, the authorities had regained full control of Merthyr. 26 people were arrested, with some being imprisoned and others sent to Australia, with 2 people being given the death penalty. These 2 people were Lewis Lewis and Richard Lewis Dic Penderyn. Lewis Lewis was arrested on charges of robbery, while Richard was arrested for stabbing a soldier named Donald Black. Lewis Lewis' sentence was later downgraded to a life sentence and he was subsequently sent to Australia. This was due to a police officer stating that Lewis tried to shield him from rioters. However, Dic Penderyn would not be so lucky, mainly due to the fact that Home Secretary Lord Melbourne had stated that one of the rioters must be made an example of. The people of Merthyr signed a petition, gaining over 11,000 signatures. However, this did nothing to reduce the sentence, and on the morning of the 13th of August 1831, Richard Lewis, Dic Penderyn, was hanged on the gallows in Cardiff in St Mary Street, modern-day Cardiff Market entrance. Many years later, in 1874, a Welshman called Ianto Parker, who was living in the United States, had confessed on his deathbed to a Reverend Evans that it was he who had stabbed the Highlander and then fled to America to escape punishment. There was also another man called James Abbott who had originally testified against Penderyn at the trial, later admitting that he had lied under oath through pressure from Lord Melbourne. I am Richard Lewis, Dic Penderyn. They are going to hang me. They said I wounded a soldier in the uprising. I didn't do it, God. Oh yes, I joined the demonstration of the radicals. I was in favour of parliamentary reform. Helped them burn the books of the Court of Requests and Joseph Coffin's furniture. I marched from home to home, retrieving goods seized by the court. I heard them read the Riot Act in English and in Welsh. I stood with the crowd at the Castle Inn. I shouted, "Cheese with bread!" The rest, I saw the crowd attack, the blood, the dead, the dying. But I didn't join in the fight. Wound a soldier? I didn't do it, God. I only cheered. The injured soldier, Donald Black, said he saw me raise my hat and cheer, not cause harm to anyone, but Lord Melbourne refused to grant reprieve. I am to leave my cell in Cardiff jail on August 13th, 1831, to die on the gallows. You know all things, God. You know my innocence, but they won't believe my cry. I didn't do it, God. Oh, og loith, dyma gamwedd. Oh Lord, what an inequity. Thank you for watching the video. I want to say a massive thank you to all my patrons and all my sponsors on YouTube Gaming. They're currently on the screen right now. For more information, check out all the links in my description and check out the links on the screen as well.